start now. So, let me tell you, he is actually summarizing whatever he has said in the whole para, big para. It's a big chapter. Okay, so the knowledge by identity. So, what he's saying is something very interesting. I'll try and tell you what I think I have understood. Then we'll read the summary also. He is saying that the divine is there everywhere, and right from the highest level to the lowest level. But it is in a graded sequence. It is graded. The divine is there openly at the highest level, in the Satchidananda of the supermind, or even above the supermind. Okay? It is there openly. If you are there, you will see the divine openly. Then, as it keeps coming down, it starts veiling itself. It starts diminishing its own light, its own power, its own consciousness, its own ananda. It goes on. Its own substance also becomes more and more gross. So this is what he's saying. So, in other words, the divine knowledge, the divine power, the divine ananda is there everywhere, even in matter. Now, how do you know this? That's the question. So, human beings have a consciousness which can contact these if you are capable of contacting. Why only human beings? Okay, let me put it this way. There is the universal divine knowledge, universal divine power, universal divine ananda everywhere. But there is also an individual consciousness, an individual power, an individual ananda. Okay, so now if the individual wants to know what is at one level, he has to use the means which is available at that level. So suppose we have in matter, okay, the individual consciousness will have to identify itself with that darkness. Okay, but darkness is darkness, you will not have knowledge there. Then you come to the life element. In the life element, the separative knowledge starts. Indirect separative knowledge starts. And with that separative means, the senses, you will be able to get that. Then you come to the mental world. Okay? In the mental world also, at our level, it is separative knowledge. Good morning, Shilpa.
Good morning, Rangat. Sorry, I joined.
They have just started. Okay, so at each level, the individual consciousness can contact the universal consciousness, which is there everywhere, if it is by whatever means is available at that level. So when you go to the intraconscious or the subliminal, the means available there is direct separative knowledge. So it is possible to get that. But you have to go to that level. If you are at another level, you have to use the means available at that level. When you go to the spiritual planes of consciousness, the direct separative knowledge also comes in. Okay. Then when you go to the even higher and higher, it starts becoming direct non-separative knowledge. Okay, non-separative. So in other words, you start realizing everything directly. That is knowledge by identity. At the highest level, there is no knowledge anymore because you become the knower and the known become one. So this is what he's saying, and this is why the chapter knowledge by direct entity. That's the highest type of knowledge you can have. But as you keep coming down, because there is darkness and there is a diminution of what? Of substance, of consciousness, of ananda, and also of power. So the individual who wants to contact these has to, again I'm repeating, has to use the means available at that level. So, okay, so this is what Sendai is saying. Now, the question arises, where does the knowledge start? So that's the next chapter, the boundaries of the ignorance. Okay. Basically, this is what he's saying in the chapter. Now, we'll read each sentence and see whether what you have said fits in. Okay. We see then That, and that word then, Srinivas only uses for summarizing whatever he has said. Okay? Whatever he said earlier, therefore we can draw the conclusion in that sense. The word then is used. We see then all the powers inherent in the original self-existent spiritual awareness. So, original self-existent spiritual awareness is at the highest, obviously. And awareness is put an A cap. Okay? And it is coming down, slowly brought out and manifested in this growing separating consciousness. In the lower levels, it is separating consciousness. Growing separating consciousness. The consciousness is separating, but it becomes less and less separating as it keeps climbing up. Okay? As I said, animals are there at the one sense animals are there. Then 2 sense animals are there. 3 sense animals. 4 senses. 5 senses. Finally, you have man with his mental beings. So there is growing awareness. But this awareness is separated. Up to the level 1, it is separated. There are activities suppressed, but native to the secret and involved knowledge by identity, and they now emerge by degrees in a form strangely diminished and tentative. So, the knowledge by identity is there everywhere, but as you keep going up, they start manifesting themselves, but in a very strange way, he is saying, because first you have to use indirect means and the separative, then you have to use direct means but separative. Finally, non-direct and non-separative. Sorry, not non-direct. Direct but non-separative. So 3 levels, basically. Actually, he makes it 4 levels because the highest knowledge by identity becomes a little diminished. Okay? It's less intense. Yeah. They are activities suppressed but native to the secret and involved knowledge by identity, and they now emerge by degrees in a form strangely diminished and tentative. Now he is giving you all the steps one by one. First, there emerges a crude or veiled sense which develops into precise sensations added by a vital instinct or concealed intuition. So, the crude and veiled sense is one sense. Okay? Creatures with one sense. Worms, okay, maybe caterpillars, okay, all this sort of thing. They have only maybe, I'm not sure of what I'm saying, but theoretically, when there's only one sense, it is crude and veiled. Okay, you come to know the physical world only through in a very limited manner. This develops into precise sensations. Precise sensations is going up to 5 senses, aided by vital instinct or concealed intuition. Then precise sensations, even at the animal level, you have precise sensations, but there it is aided by vital instinct or concealed intuition. He's talking about animals. Okay, the intuition in animals. They see clearly, they can also hear clearly, okay? They can also touch, all these senses are there, but they also have to act by concealed intuition. Concealed intuition is the instinct. It is there even in the plants also. Plants also have a concealed intuition because they know exactly what to do. No? They don't know mentally, but they know in that crude manner. That's what it means. Then a life-mind perception manifests. Life-mind is in the animal world, not the plant world. Okay? Life-mind emerges. Life-mind is nothing but the manas. That part of the mind, what Srinivas calls the physical mind or the material mind. It is the mind that interprets the senses. It tells you what you are seeing. If the mind does not tell you that, you will see things, you will hear things, but you will understand nothing at all. So there emerging life-mind perception manifests, and it is at its back an obscure consciousness, sight, and feeling of things. Emotion vibrates. This is the animal level. Emotion vibrates out and seeks an interchange with others. Last arises the surface conception, thought. Now it comes to man. So he has been telling you from matter to plant life to animal life, and even in the animal life there are grades. Huh? So, and finally he'll come into man. But so last arises to the surface conception, thought, reason, comprehending and apprehending the object, combining its data of knowledge. So you have the combining mind also, he says. Okay, it unites the knowledge in the mind with the sense perceptions. It combines them. Okay, so that's what it is. But all are incomplete. So in the level 1, matter, plant, animal and man, all are incomplete, still maimed, injured, okay, defective by the separative ignorance. Separative ignorance because we see everything separated. And the first obscuring inconscience. All are dependent on the outward means. What are the outward means? The senses. They are the outward means. Not empowered to act in their own right. Consciousness cannot act directly on consciousness. So this is why it is indirect. My consciousness cannot access your consciousness, right? It cannot. So therefore, it is indirect knowledge. There is a constructive envelopment and penetration of things by the mind consciousness. Constructive envelopment, okay? Again, he is referring to senses. And also the mind also has got constructions. When the mind understands something, it has constructed the mental substance into what he is trying to understand. Okay? Then, where is God? Construction and development, the penetration of things by the mind consciousness. There is a penetration because your sight has seen things, so it is penetrating into the object in that sense. But not a real possession. It's only superficially it is seen and constructing something, but not real possession. There is no knowledge by identity at the human level. Only when the subliminal is able to force upon the frontal mind, the normal mind, okay, the ignorant mind, and sense some of its secret activities, pure and untranslated, into the ordinary forms of mental intelligence, does a rudimentary action of the deeper methods lift itself to the surface. In other words, some human beings can have access to this subliminal knowledge. Okay? That is possible. Then very limited manner, you get glimpses of things. And we discussed also this, the spirit, what are called the psychics. Okay, they are ordinary people, but they have got access to the subliminal consciousness. So if they touch something, they will know some things of the thing that they are touching. Okay, we have discussed that yesterday. Only when the subliminal is able to force upon the frontal mind and sense some of its secret activity, pure, does a rudimentary action of the deeper methods of life lifts itself to the surface. Now, what do they mean by force itself? Because what is happening is that the superconscious and the intraconscious are always sending their forces down. But your density of consciousness is so dense, so dark, that it does not receive. But if your consciousness is slightly less dense, then the intraconscious can penetrate into your consciousness. So it is forcing itself into you. It's opening the doors by force. That's what Sir is saying. Okay? That's why using the word to force upon the ultimate. Okay? Then, when you are in the cosmic consciousness of the intraconscious, there is no forcing. You have gone there. It's not that the subliminal is coming into you. That would be the forcing. But your consciousness has gone into subliminal. Openly you are seeing everything. There is no more force there. You are accessing knowledge which is there in the subliminal. So, now I go to the next phrase. Okay, but such emergencies are still an exception. So there you are. Not everybody has got these powers of going into the intraconscient or the inner being or the subliminal. Some people can. They strike across the normality of our acquired and learned knowledge. Now, acquired and learned knowledge is exactly what human beings acquire by going to school and college and other ways of getting knowledge. Acquired. You go, you learn things and you acquire them and it is learned. It's not direct. Okay? With a savor of the abnormal and the supernormal. Okay, so with a savor of the abnormal. In other words, when you get your intraconscient or from the superconscient things coming to you, it is a little abnormal. It's not normal to the normal human consciousness and the supernormal. Savor. That means a little bit of that, a taste of the abnormal is coming into you, and the taste of the supernormal also is coming into you. Abnormal from the intraconscient, supernormal from the higher planes of consciousness. It is only by an opening to our inner being or an entry into it that a direct, intimate awareness can be added to the outer indirect awareness. The outer indirect awareness is our normal understanding of things. So it is only by our awakening to our inmost soul or superconscious. Note carefully. Inmost soul is a cyclic and it is horizontal. It goes into yourself. And superconscious, you go above. It's like going into at the back of your house and the sky is open. There's no building there. So you have access to the universal. Or superconscious, you go to the terrace. Okay? So there, it's only by our awakening to our inmost soul or superconscious self that there can be a beginning of the spiritual knowledge with identity at its basis. At its basis, even spiritual knowledge is not always knowledge by identity. It can come little bits and pieces. But the knowledge by identity comes at a higher level, at the intuitive level. At the higher mind level, you can get glimpses of knowledge by identity, but it is still separated at its basis. The basis is knowledge by identity. Its constituent power, its intrinsic substance. The substance also goes on changing, and your substance must be in proportion to the universal substance which you are trying to understand. Okay, that's what he's saying, and that ends the chapter. The knowledge by identity and separated knowledge. So, up to the level 1, it is always indirect separated knowledge. Then when you go to the intraconscient, it becomes separated but direct knowledge. We are not using senses anymore. In the superconscious from level 2, okay, then it can also be both, but in the superconscious level 2, identity also starts coming in little by little until at the overmind level, intuitive and overmind level, your identity, knowledge by identity becomes possible. But the complete knowledge by identity is only at the supermental level. So there are gradations. So that's what we have discussed. So now obviously the question comes up. So where exactly is the boundary of the ignorance and where does true knowledge start? Knowledge is starting even at the animal level. Okay? It's getting knowledge of the physical world. But where is the true knowledge and where is the ignorance? Now we have to define ignorance. What do you mean by ignorance? Ignorance is, you can say by definition, the seeing of the multiplicity. When you see the many without their connecting links, you are in ignorance. It's also, you can define it in another way, the ignorance of human beings is when they are identified with their outer nature of body, life and mind. And when you think that that's what you are, and you are not conscious of your soul, nor yourself, that is ignorance. When this your identification with your body, mind, life ceases, then you are beginning to get knowledge. But still it is not perfect knowledge. So, Srimla discusses is where is the boundary of the ignorance. He will tell you, I'm just giving an anticipatory answer, okay, because it's a long chapter. So, he will tell you that the right up to the overmind level, although the knowledge goes on increasing, yet the overmind also is the ignorance is there. Ignorance, as I said, defined by the concept of the many, the multiplicity. In the overmind, the multiplicity is absolute. The beginning of multiplicity is in the overmind consciousness. Okay? Above that is the supermind, and in the supermind, there are three grades. The first grade is what Sandra calls the status of the supermind. The first status of supermind is complete unity. Unity. Second, it's very useful to give the image of the sea and the waves. Okay? And the first level of the status of supermind is the sea. Absolutely without motion, clear, no dirt anywhere, infinite, eternal, and static. This is the level 1 of the supermind. Level 1 is the supermind. Then, when it comes down, the sea starts making waves. The formation of forms, the formation of the vibrations, the beginning is in level 2 of the supermind. Then in level 3, the waves, the swells, okay, they have now started becoming waves. But they are still, you are perceiving only the sea. The sea is the most important. You are seeing the curvature of the waves, but it is still the middle. So, as soon as you come down into the overmind level, the multiplicity starts. You have a vague idea of the unity, but it is the separateness that you see more clearly. Okay, this is the one way of seeing. Or if you want another image, okay, that also may help you. It's like I usually use a jigsaw puzzle, but I will take another image also. Okay, let's take a full apple. Keep it on the table. This is level 1 of the supermind. You are seeing the whole. You are seeing the apple full. Now, level 2, I take I don't take a knife. I take a marker, pencil, or if you want, and I cut that apple into 4 pieces, one vertical and one horizontal. Now that apple is possible to divide into 4 bits, okay? But I have not cut it yet. This is level 2 of the supermind. Okay? Now, level 3 of the supermind, I have cut the apple. The apple is cut, but I have not separated the pieces. So I can still see the total apple, but I can also see that the beginning, the possibility of separating these parts are there. Then when I come to level of the overmind, I have separated the pieces by 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters each. So if I go sufficiently back, I will be able to see the whole apple. In the overmind consciousness, you can see the oneness, but you will also see the multiplicity. Okay, so Srimlo says the multiplicity, or as I said, definition of ignorance starts at the overmind level. Okay? And as it keeps coming down, 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 the ignorance goes on increasing, increasing, increasing until in the inconscient it is total. Okay, so this is what he's going to tell you. So let's start reading this chapter. We have got time. We got 15 minutes. Yeah, about 15 minutes. So,
Ramada, I have a question.
go ahead.
Yeah. You said that in the highest level, there is no need for knowledge. So
The highest, yeah, there is no need of knowledge because you yourself are you are the only one and you have all knowledge. That's right.
Then the knowledge of identity is below that.
Knowledge of identity, yeah, partial identity starts below that, yes. That's right.
Oh,
But
then in the
Suki,
Hmm.
remember one thing, that these,
yes.
we are, for clarity's sake, we are discussing and saying that there are levels. But all these levels also merge one into the other. Keep that in
Mm.
mind always.
Mhm.
Yeah, keep that in mind always. Okay?
Yes.
So,
Then in the three status of supermind you just mentioned, in the three status of supermind, the
Ah.
knowledge of identity is belonging to the first one, the complete unity.
yeah, it is there. The knowledge by identity is there fully in the supermind.
Fully in the supermind.
Even there it is in the overmind also it is there. But it
Mhm.
gets diminished.
Mm.
It gets diminished. You don't have the full. As I said, you can still see the apple now. You can still
Mhm.
see the oneness of the apple, you can see.
Mm.
Sremda, I'm using my own image, but Sremda uses the words demarcation but not cutting. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is how you have to see. And this is a question of knowledge and knowing. All right.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay. So let's start reading the next chapter, the boundaries of the universe. So if Archana Yasmin doesn't have the text. So if Archana has got the text,
Yes, I'm seeing Rangada, but I don't know. Is my net okay? Can you hear me?
no, I heard you, but I
Uh,
didn't understand what you're saying.
No, I'm asking you whether I'm clear or not. Net,
Yes,
na,
yes.
that's
No, you are very clear. I can hear you.
okay. The boundaries of the ignorance.
Just
Two
1 minute.
things.
Give me 1 minute
Yes.
and get the text. 575. 7. Just 1 second. Then I have to do. My computer is very slow. That's a problem. 5, 7. Yeah. Now, yeah. Now I'm ready. We can start.
The boundaries of the ignorance. One who thinks there is this world and no other. Upanishad. Extended within the infinite, headless and footless, concealing his two ends. Rigved. He who has the knowledge, I am Brahman, becomes all this that is, but whoever worships another divinity than the one self and thinks, other is he, and I am other, he knows not. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. This self is fourfold. The self of waking, who has the outer intelligence and enjoys external things, is its first part. The self of dream, who has the inner intelligence and enjoys things subtle, is its second part. The self of sleep, purified, a masked intelligence, blissful and enjoying bliss, is the third part. The Lord of all, the omniscient, the inner control. That which is unseen, indefinable, self evident in its own in its one selfhood is the fourth part. This is the self. This is that which has to be known. Mandukya Upanishad. A conscious being, no larger than a man's thumb, stands in the center of ourself. He is master of the past and the present. He is today and he is tomorrow. Katha Upanishad. Do I continue, Gangada, or we'll discuss this first?
Whatever you want. Actually, all these quotations are very, very valid to what we have just now read. Okay, we'll go through each one and see. By the way, it is Katha Upanishad. Okay, Katha is the name of a rishi. It is not Katha Upanishad.
Katha, yes.
Yeah, Katha. So, I'm reading the first one. One who thinks there is this world and no other. Okay? He is in ignorance, is not said, but that is obvious. That's the lowest level. He thinks that only the physical world exists. They are materialist. Now, the second one from the Rig Veda. Extended within the infinite, headless and footless, concealing his two ends. Okay, now that's very interesting. Extended within the infinite. And what is extended? Satchidananda is extended within itself. And it is headless. In other words, it is infinite above and infinite below, concealing his two ends. But we don't see the above and we don't see the bottom also. Okay, it's very obvious that we don't. We are in the middle, and our living. He has concealed his two ends. Third one, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. Most of these were written by rishis, and the vast forest. Brihad Aranyaka. Aranya is the forest. Aranyaka, one with whatever is written in the Aranya, in the forest. He who has the knowledge, I am Brahman, becomes all this that is. So he gets identification. That is possible. I am the Brahman. He has the knowledge by identity. Becomes all this that is, that exists. So they use the word is in very often in this sense, that exists. But whoever worships another divinity than the one self and thinks other is he and I am other, he knows not. This is obviously the separative consciousness. Other is he and I am another. I am not like the others. They are separate. Okay? He knows not. He is in ignorance. That's exactly what we define. When you see separation, when you see the many and think that they are real, then it is you are in ignorance. But this is it is not to be taken in a negative sense, because the divine himself, by his own choice, he is doing this. He wants to see himself as one, but he also wants to see himself as the many. So it is a purposely created thing. And if you ask why purposely, we come back to the idea of the play, the hide and seek that he is playing with himself. Of course, if you see it from the human point of view, it is very negative. I said we don't need to see it negative if you see it from the highest level. But if you see it from the lowest level, yes, ignorance is something negative. Okay, you have to get knowledge. You have to deny ignorance and go on. So it's a way of looking at things from different levels. You will see different things. Now we come to the next one. The self is fourfold. This we have seen many times before also, and we repeat. There is the fourfold. The fourfold is waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and the fourth one which is even beyond the fourth sleep. Or if you want, the gross world is a waking state. The dream self, okay, is the swapna, the subtle world. Then the causal world is a sleep state. Causal world. They use the word sleep because it is not known to us. Okay? This classification of waking, sleep, dreaming and sleeping is from the bottom. But if you go to if you want to say it from the higher level, then the sleep state is actually the waking state. Okay? Because that is the one in which the soul is fully awake. It's an opposite. This is very puzzling to me, but it's very obvious that you are defining it from the normal human consciousness. Okay. So, and the fourth one is the fourth one, which is the absolute, the fourth part. So this is what you say. I'll read the quotation. This self is fourfold. The self means the entire divine. Okay, is fourfold. There is the self of waking at the lowest level, which you also call the Virat, the material world, including the subconscious and the inconscious. The self of waking, who has the outer intelligence and enjoys external things. Now, the word enjoys is both. It enjoys and suffers also. It is subject to both external things. Okay, so this is the material existence. Is its first part. This is the first part. The second, the self of dream, who has the inner intelligence and enjoys things subtle, is the second part. Okay, and this is normally in the intraconscious, or even in the superconscious, the lower levels of superconscious. Then you come to the self of sleep, unified. Now you start seeing the oneness of things, unified, a mass intelligence, Chit Ghana they call it. The substance here at the physical level is very diluted, the substance. As it keeps going up, it gets more and more concentrated and more powerful. Okay? It is not diluted anymore. So in the third level, it's a mass intelligence. The substance becomes very thick. Okay? It's very interesting. It may be thick, but it is subtler. So that's the thing. The more subtle the substance, the more real it is and the more powerful. It sounds contradictory, but that is the truth. Okay? So, this self of sleep, third level, unified, you start seeing the oneness of things. A mass intelligence, okay? Chit Ghana, blissful and enjoying bliss. Okay? Blissful and enjoying bliss. What does it mean? Blissful within yourself, without enjoyment of outer things. Okay? You are yourself in it, you are enjoying your own consciousness. And enjoying bliss, enjoying everything outside yourself. Okay? So inner and outer. That's why blissful and enjoying bliss is the third part. Okay? There is the superconscious, the Lord of all, the omniscient, the inner control. Okay? So, that which is unseen, indefinable, self-evident in its one selfhood is the fourth part. So note the words carefully. The fourth part is the unmanifested, because he uses the words unseen, we don't see it, indefinable, it's absolutely, totally one and featureless. Indefinable means featureless. Self-evident in its one selfhood. It is evident to itself only, nobody else. Is the fourth part. This is the self. This is that which has to be known. So the Upanishad is saying we have to go to the highest to be able to understand everything. Mandukya Upanishad. Then we come to the Katha Upanishad again. A conscious being, no larger than a man's thumb, Angushtamatra Purusha, psychic being, stands in the center of ourself. He is the master of the past and present. He is today and he is tomorrow. So when you get the experience of the psychic being, you can know your past and you can also know your present and you can also know your future to a certain extent. The Trikala Drishti is possible. That's what it is. So, precisely the chapter that we have done, all these quotations are very much relevant to that. Now we can read the 840. All right, so we'll take it up next week, the boundaries of the universe. Okay?
Merci beaucoup.
Very good, Ananda.
Okay.
Thank you, Rangana.
Thank you, Rangana. Au revoir.